On our panel here, we have Jace Holyoke, who is in charge of our marketing. We have Dan Russell, who is our CIO, and we have Kevin Murphy with Zultys. So again, I appreciate you guys joining. This is our 4th webinar this year. We're trying to do a webinar once a month. Started this in February, and this is our 4th month. So I've really enjoyed doing these. We've had kind of a cybersecurity focus for the first few, as obviously that's been very relevant, unfortunately. But this is definitely one we've been excited to get out here and show current customers, potential customers. It's just been a great solution for us. I'm going to get started. I will tell you that we are recording the session, so if for some reason you need to reference back or you have to leave early or anything, we can send that out to you so you have that. Also keep in mind we can do one-on-one demonstrations with you at any point after this too, to make sure we answer the particular questions you have that would affect your organization. Lastly, before I get started, there is a Q&A. So we have the audio block for everyone, but if you have any questions, go ahead and place them in the questions area on the GoToWebinar panel. If you plug them in there, we'll be keeping an eye on those throughout the meeting or throughout the webinar, and we'll make sure they get addressed as soon as we possibly can. We certainly want to make sure this is open dialogue, and you guys are asking questions and engaging, making sure you're getting out of this what you want. Okay, so I have a few slides, and then I'm going to kick it over to the smart guy on the call, Kevin. But I just want to give you kind of Pine Coast perspective of Zultys and kind of why we've gone this route. So a bit first, who we are, if anyone doesn't know that. We are, again, Pine Cove, based out of Bozeman. We've been in business, I think we're heading to our 25th year. We've been a voice over IP provider for about 13 or 14 years. Let's see, that'd be 15 years. So we've carried a couple different vendors. Obviously, Zultys has kind of transformed what we're doing with voice over IP, but definitely have a lot of background. And as you can see, our map, we cover basically, I guess you could say, the Pacific Northwest. And we have about 20,000 users that we support daily across all of our different solutions that we provide. So my marketing guy, Jace, is probably going to kill me because I went on my own to create my own little slides here. So this is graphic design as done by me, so bear with me. But I tried to just come up with why are we here and why is this a relevant conversation right now? And I think what we're seeing is, the demand for communication across your customers, your employees, is growing. Accessibility, the demand for being accessible is growing. You can't really go anywhere without needing to be connected to your phone, your chat, your email, all those different things. And we want to know where you are. What's your presence? Are you available? Are you not available? Becoming more and more important. IT demand in general is growing, as we know. Everything seems to plug into the network anymore, and there's just a bigger demand on our IT teams, whether that's our IT team or your IT team. Just a lot of demand coming down that way, and unfortunately, our IT budgets aren't matching that demand in most cases. So we have a lot of demand of what we need to do and what we want to do from an organization. Our budgets aren't matching that. So even if they're staying at a standstill, most of the time they're not growing at the rate we need them to. So what do we do about that? How do we solve that? And I think we don't have all the answers, but one way we've done that is looked into this cloud phone solution. It's really hit us by storm of the opportunity to answer the bell on some of these challenges that we have, but also keep in mind budget and maybe even open up budget for other things by moving this direction. So it's really been a great solution for us regarding that, and that's why we're here. So I just put a couple of the customers, even in the last 6 months, that we've helped transfer over to this type of cloud-hosted phone solution. So I gave you kind of 3 different examples. We've had a lot of success in the past 6 months, but I thought these 3 would kind of are different enough where they tell a different story. But the challenge that we had is a 25-user environment. I believe there's a real estate firm that I was referencing here. 3 locations. Current phone system is about 15 years old, very antiquated, no support, no warranty, just kind of, hey, it was we'd pick it up, it would call, and so let's just hope it doesn't break. They're currently paying about $1,200 a month for their phone service, which is a big number. So the solution that we came in with was a Zultys cloud solution. We put a mobile client, which Kevin will get into, on all their users so they can have that same functionality on their mobile phone as they do from their desktop client and their actual phone. We put the Mixie client, which is to me the brains and kind of the special sauce of this whole thing, which we'll show you. We put that on all their machines so they can chat and see presence and forward calls all from their desktop. Full hardware warranty, so part of that monthly fee, all of phones, any upgrades, all that is included on that one monthly fee. We're able to totally eliminate their current phone service bill, and that's really the game changer for us. So that $1,200 a month, we're able to wipe off and implement this phone in replacement of this phone system. So my kind of general estimation, we're going to save them, and again, this is savings. We're taking a 15-year-old phone system, getting into a new cutting-edge enterprise system, and I'm going to save them probably about $10,000 over the next 3 years. So that's again where this story needs to be told, because for a lot of people, let's take out the features, put that aside. Just the cost savings alone to upgrade to this has been worth it. I'll be quicker on the next two, but I just want to show you some different sizes. So this particular customer is 125 users, so this does scale. And really, I tried to put the math to it of, is there any environment that's just too large to go this hosted route? I just haven't seen it yet. So it's one location, 125 users. This particular customer actually had a fairly new voice over IP system. So they had some of the features that we'd probably be showing you here. The problem that they're facing, they still had that phone service. They couldn't get rid of the phone service. That in this case was about $1,600 a month. And they're paying for warranty on their all that infrastructure that they have in place. They have their phone switches and the servers and all the different stuff that they have to have warranty on. That came out to about $6,000 a year. So for these guys, same type thing, put a cloud solution in. We're able to eliminate that voice over IP system that had kind of the gift that keeps giving with the annual maintenance and the phone bill. All that went away. We'll be able to save them roughly about $2,000 over 3 years. So another good one. And my last one here, this is a school district. We do a lot of public sector work as well. 85 users, 3-building campus, had an antiquated phone system. The big key here with school districts, for any school districts on the call, the funding vehicle for phone services is going away via E-rate, and for some schools it's already gone. So that the phone bill for schools had been paid for years through a program called E-rate. That has been phased out and is being phased out. So all of a sudden, just like we said, budgets are going down. Well, this is a cost that used to be taken care of and now is a burden of the school district. So what do we do? And I think that's why the urgency to this hosted phone solution has become relevant to a school district, because now we have to foot the bill for those services. So this particular customer had a $1,400 a month phone service bill. That was completely taken away. We'll be saving this particular customer about $15,000 over 3 years. And remember, that is to upgrade their phone system. I'm going to save them $15,000. Again, that's why we're here, and that's why we want to talk about this. So my last slide, and we'll kick it over to Kevin. Why Zultys from Pineco's perspective, and I think why this is important, is Kevin's going to tell you how great Zultys is, and they are great. But every phone provider is going to tell you that. And they're going to tell you their features and why they're great and why they're different. But I can tell you, after supporting multiple different vendors in the past, here's what's differentiated Zultys with what we've done in the past. Number one, it's customer service. So when our users have a problem, they can dial a button right on their phone and have someone answering the call and taking service calls right away. So for my IT folks out there, what a blessing, right? I'm not going to get any more phone service calls ever again. And their phone support team is amazing. And I've seen others that are not amazing. Ease of implementation and deployment, very easy. Phones come to your entity. the name of the person pre-configured, so you have a user, their name is on the box, so you plop that right at the employee's desk. You plug it in, and they are rolling. Super, super easy to deploy and implement. Ease of training. Kevin does a lot of our trainings for us. They're awesome, easy to understand. We kind of phase them in, give people the basics, and then as they want to grow their skills of how they can use this unified communication platform, let's add that in as we go. Again, the cost savings to our customer, I've hit on that enough already. And the features, obviously, are good. And then we've seen the alternative. We've proposed multiple different solutions, and they've been great. But we really didn't know what we were missing until we moved this route with Kevin and his team. So that's all you're going to have to hear from me. Again, make sure you throw your questions in to the chat area there. And I'm going to kick it over to Kevin and let him talk in specifics to why Zultys.
Thanks, Brandon, and hello, everyone. Brandon, can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Zultys, a little bit about our background, our offering, and our infrastructure. So those are kind of the three things that I think are important. But like Brandon said at the beginning, if you have any questions, you can send those in, and he'll hit me with those as we go through the process. I've got 13 slides, so I promise not to kill you with slides. In fact, of the 13, this is the welcome slide, and the last one is a thank you slide, so we're really only talking about 11. So hang in there with me. I'll break away about midway through and give you a live demonstration on our actual unified communication software. So with all that said, the next slide is tries to answer the question of why Zultys. And of course, we think there's lots of reasons, and Brandon, thank you for the kind words. So I'll just hit on a few more. One of the things that we're particularly proud of is the fact that we've been doing this since 2001. So forgive me for bragging, but we're absolutely, not me, but our staff and our designers and our support team are absolute experts in telephony. Because we've been at it for so long. So a lot of our competitors, got in, 6 months ago, and some, 6 years ago, but we're really proud of the fact that we've been doing this for a very long time. We commit to our customer base that we'll put out 2 major releases every year. So they can count on approximately every 6 months to receive a new software release. So the system's always being updated and enhanced. And the cool thing about that is our customer base has access into the decision-making process for what goes in those releases. So everybody appreciates that. One of the other things that I like to share is that our design team and our coding folks make a point of being able to scale to the changing business needs that happen over time. And a great example of that is BYOD, which is an acronym for Bring Your Own Device. So that wasn't really important back in 2001. It wasn't on anybody's radar, but it is important today, and it has been important for the last, 2 years, maybe more. And we do that. We support Bring Your Own Device in a couple of different ways. One way is through smartphones. So with our mobile device, you can turn your Apple, or your iOS device, or your Android device into an endpoint on our system. So as an endpoint on our system, it can make and receive business calls. So you're not compromising your personal cell phone number, and you're still able to be mobile and to make and receive business calls. Another way that we support Bring Your Own Device is through some of the Polycom phones. So we know that there's a lot of Polycom phones out there, and we support several of those models. So you're not pigeonholed into using just our phones. We've got some great phones, and I'll show those to you in a few minutes. But you're not pigeonholed into using just our phones. You've got several options. And one last point on this slide is the fact that we support remote workers. So again, kind of on that same topic of changing as business needs change, remote workers have been supported for a long time, but it's still relevant, and I think it's worth mentioning that we support remote workers. In fact, our little tagline is work anywhere, work everywhere. So as long as you've got decent internet connection or a decent cell connection, you literally can work anywhere in the world and make and receive business phone calls. This next slide does talk about our cloud service, or our cloud infrastructure. So before I talk about our data centers in particular, I want to talk about our offering. So with our offering, our customers get a secure instance per client. So a lot of our competitors do the shared service like BroadSoft or Metaswitch kind of setup where there's shared service, but with our offering, it's a secure instance per client, per customer, their own individual instance. Okay, so our data centers. We've got a data center in Boston, for example. That data center went online in 1999 and has had 0 downtime since. Now, when we were scoping out data centers, we started with them we probably started doing our due diligence 5 years ago. And that's one of the reasons that we chose them was the fact that they've had such a superior uptime. Inside of that data center, we've got all of our production servers. And then in addition to all of those production servers, we've got a complete set of duplicate redundant servers just in case anything goes wrong with those production servers. And to make sure that everything's running smoothly, we have them monitored by our engineering staff remotely. In addition to all of that, we've got a complete duplicate of that Boston data center in Colorado. So in our Colorado data center, complete backup, all of the data is already over there. So if there's any kind of failure in Boston, it's immediate turnover to Colorado and vice versa, and it's load balanced and it's always synchronized, and that's always being monitored. That connection and both data centers are being monitored by our engineering staff. And we've got a third coming online. I'm not sure of the location, but I've heard it is in Arizona. So that's a little bit about our cloud infrastructure. Next slide is just a subset of our customer base. So we've got tens of thousands of customers around the world, but this is just a small subset of that customer base. So I always like to say before you guys started talking to Pine Cove about Zultys, you may not have heard of us, but you've almost certainly have heard of some of our customers. So just a couple of ones to point out, maybe just to give you a little idea of what we provide above and beyond dial tone. Let's talk about NPR. So NPR is a customer of ours. So if I call into NPR during one of their national campaigns, first of all, I'm calling into our phone system, so that's wonderful. But secondly, they answer the phone by saying something like, and I haven't memorized their spiel, but they answer the phone by saying something like, "Hello, Mr. Murphy, thanks for calling us back. We appreciate the contribution you made during our last campaign. How can we help you today?" The reason that they can do that is because with that phone call, with that incoming phone number, they know that it's me. They do our system, the Zultys system, does a database dip into their CRM or their customer relationship management software and pops a screen on the operator's desk on their laptop, and they can see all of the information about me as a caller. So again, does a database dip into the CRM and displays all of the information about the caller. So now that operator can have a more personalized conversation with the person that's calling. Allstate, bottom right-hand corner, does the same thing. We have a lot of customers that do automated dialing, and we'll talk more about that later. I'm thinking about Ken Garth and some of the other folks on this screen take advantage of automated dialing. So those are just a couple of examples of our customers and what they do above and beyond just using our dial tone. So the next slide tries to answer the question, why our technology? And again, I think there's lots of reasons, three of which are listed in the icons at the top of this slide. We won Product of the Year 3 times from these 3 different publications, and we're really proud of that. We also, our designers also make sure that the system and its feature set are attractive to all 3 groups in the workforce today. So they spend a lot of time, and we talk about it when we get together for meetings. We talk about the effort that they put into being attractive to the baby boomers, having the software be attractive to the Gen X folks, and having the technology be attractive to the millennials. And that's not easy necessarily, making everybody happy, but they do a pretty good job. In fact, here I'm in Michigan. So out here in Michigan, a couple of years ago, we sold a phone system, had about 65 users, and we didn't sell them a single phone. And the reason for that was they had mostly millennials who were already used to technology, already used to gaming, already used to headsets. So they just used our cell phone, plugged in a headset, and they were good to go. Still very happy about doubled in size. And again, our folks make sure that they keep our feature set attractive to all 3 groups in the workforce. So I'd show you our phones, and here they are. 33G, 36G, and 37G. All of them have great audio. All of them have full duplex speakerphones. In fact, the audio is so good, a lot of our customers in their smaller conference rooms use these phones as conference room phones. They all have dual gigabit Ethernet ports in the back. So, as you know, obviously that means that at one workstation, you just need one Cat5 cable or Cat6 and plug that into the back of the phone, and then the PC can be daisy-chained off of it. The 36G is kind of the middle of the road. It's our most popular phone. The one at the bottom, the 37G, is in color. I always call it our fancy schmancy executive phone because it is in color. It does have a lot of cool features, including being able to receive instant messages from our unified communication software. Next slide, we call forward compatibility, and I just use it to remind me to tell you a few more things about our technology. I told you earlier that bring your own device was supported, and that's a Polycom conference room or conference phone in the upper left-hand corner. So again, that's just another example of being able to use other phones than just the Zultys manufactured phones. We also support DECT wireless phones. And we support video in a couple of different ways. So we support peer-to-peer video with our unified communication software, and we also support video with our conferencing software. Next is our standard user. So this gives me the opportunity to share with you our 3 types of users. So our standard user includes all of the features and functionality that you would expect from a high-quality phone system. So with our standard user, you can make and receive calls, you can transfer, you can conference, you can forward. Integrated voicemail, of course, is included. Call queuing, call routing, music on hold. Again, all of the things that you would expect to be able to use is included with our standard user, including our MX mobile app. So with our standard user, you get as part of that user a license for our mobile app that I mentioned earlier can run on an Android or an iOS device. Next is our premium user. So of course with the premium user, it includes everything that the standard user has, but it also includes the ability to send and receive faxes from your desktop. So normally I ask, I know everybody's microphone's turned off, but normally I'm used to asking questions with every slide, so I'm having trouble not doing that. But so normally I'd ask you if you guys do faxing. It's so interesting to hear the different answers. Some people still do it a lot. Some people have been able to eliminate it altogether, which I think is awesome, and most people fall in the middle somewhere. So just know that the system gives you the ability to send, with the premium user, gives you the ability to send and receive faxes from your desktop. Next is our Mixi software. So that is our unified communication software. It runs on your laptop or your desktop or your Mac, by the way, and it interfaces with the phone system. So I'm going to break away from this presentation and just give you a live look at what my Mixi screen looks like. And
Kevin,
this is it.
I'm just going to add one thing to that.
Sure.
Simplify the difference between those two profiles. It's really this. So we're going to show Mixi. That is really your difference. And so, you know, what I would say, if you're someone sitting at a desk using your computer frequently, you're going to want the Mixi client. It really kind of changes how you communicate. Where you wouldn't need it would be someone that's maybe a little more mobile, or, you know, for our school district customers, a teacher probably doesn't need the Mixi client. They're not going to be sitting at a desk long enough to be able to use any of those tools. Or we also have some customers that have maybe a manufacturing plant where that person needs to have a number, but they're not ever even sitting down at all. It just doesn't make sense to have that. So really that's how I try to define them, just to clean it up, to say you either want the Mixi client or you don't, and that's the big difference.
Thanks, Brandon. That's a good way to describe it. So with this Mixi client, lots and lots of features. We could spend an hour or two talking about all the features, and of course I won't do that to you. But let me hit some highlights for you. First of all, the Mixi screen can be manipulated. The look and feel of this Mixi screen can be manipulated to your own personal liking. So for example, over here I'm looking at my buddy's window. I can move that, drag and drop it. If I'd rather see that across the top of my screen, I have complete control over that. If I want to delete that and just simplify my screen and only have a few windows, I have complete control over that. So my message with this is just know that as a user, as a Mixi user, you get to dictate what's included and what's not included in the display on your Mixi screen, just to make it, you know, easier to use for you. And so in addition to the windows, the same thing can happen with the icons. I just happen to like the icons along the left-hand side of my screen, but they can be moved to any location that you'd like. And I'm just going to put that back where it was. And I guess one other note about moving and manipulating the screen, the system's smart enough to remember where you left it. So when you move things around and you log off, when you log back on, it will be exactly where you left it. All right, next is a couple of other features. One is presence, and I like this one a lot. It's our presence. It's a way for me to share with my coworkers what my status is relative to the phone system. So right now you can see that I'm on the phone. The system automatically put me in the presence or status of on the phone. I didn't have to worry about that. But I'm going to click the down arrow so you can see some of my other options. So I can be available, you know, red, green, ready, willing, able to take calls. Not available. I can have a presence of busy, at lunch, in a meeting, be right back, and appear offline. So all of these are options for my presence. And again, presence is just a way for me to share with my coworkers what I'm up to relative to the phone system and being able to make and receive calls. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to place myself in a meeting to show you that along with presence, I've got this note section across the top of my screen. So out here in Michigan, it's 4:31, so I'm going to say that I expect to be out by 5 o'clock, and I just want to point out what it looks like then from my coworkers' perspective. So I just brought up the address book, and I'm looking at all of my coworkers. You can see that some people are not available, some people are available. And scrolling through, you can kind of continue that. Some people are, so Bill is at lunch, that kind of thing. I'm going to put in the first few letters of my name so we can see my address. So my coworkers, just at a glance, can see that I'm in a meeting because of this icon. If they hover over that icon, they'll see the note that I expect to be out by 5 o'clock. And then here in the body of the address, they also see that same note that I expect to be out by 5. So we think, and more importantly, we get feedback from our customers that this made them more efficient. So now when someone calls our office looking for me, our receptionist can say, well, Kevin's currently in a meeting. He does expect to be out by 5. Would you like to call him then? Would you like to go straight to his voicemail? Is there someone else that can help you? So it's a more efficient, productive, professional conversation that the receptionist can have with the caller rather than just, kind of blindly sending them over to my voicemail.
Hey, Kevin, I may add a couple things on that too. So
sure.
Some nice features to that. One is you can integrate that into Outlook. So if you have users like me or you are like me where I'm an absent-minded professor and there's no way I'm going to remember to constantly be changing my status, as long as I'm keeping my calendar up to date, it'll automatically change those things for you. So that's been a nice feature for us. And so I just want to mention that it kind of automatically does that. Obviously, you can manually do it. You can also go into your settings, which I've been playing around with over the past few weeks, and change some default items. So maybe you always want to show that you're at lunch from 12 to 1 no matter what, whether you're in the office or available or whatever. You can default those things so you don't have to think about it as, hey, do not bother me over lunch. I want to be shown away during that time. So I just want to add those 2 points.
Perfect. Thank you. So just dropping down, I want to hit on a few more features. We have the ability to instant message. So I'm going to click on instant message. Let's see, Justin looks like he's available, so I'm going to send him an instant message. So the idea is we can IR or instant message anyone on the system. So I've learned to start with the words in demo, because you can just imagine what feedback I can get otherwise. In demo, and I think he's in Chicago. How is Chicago? So typically, of course, you'd have a more professional reason to send an instant message. Maybe, Justin, your 3 o'clock meeting showed up early, or Justin, there's some chaos in the storeroom that needs your attention. Something a little bit more professional than how is Chicago, but you get the idea. And when he responds, we'll take a peek at that and see what it looks like. So we can instant message, we can fax, we talked about that. You looked at the address book, and just like Brandon said, we can integrate it with Exchange and Outlook, and we can and do pull over addresses, all of the addresses from Exchange and Outlook. Voicemail, call log. So notice that the system is telling me that I missed 3 calls while I've been on this webinar with you guys, and I have 3 new voicemails. So the system keeps track of that. And if I click on the link for the little message that tells me that I've missed 3 calls, it brings up our call log so that I can see what those 3 missed calls, who they came from. And notice that it shows me that I've got 3 new voicemail messages. So if I click on that link, then it automatically brings up the voicemail screen. We try to reduce the number of keystrokes and make our users more efficient, more effective, and more productive. So we do a lot of these types of things with links and saving keystrokes. So I'm looking at my voicemail, and notice that I've got 3 new ones, so the number 3 is in parentheses. Those are also bolded, so lots of information about voicemail. Going to go over here to the right-hand side, my buddies list. So you saw my address book. I scrolled through. We've got a lot of coworkers at Zultys. My buddies list are folks that I interact with the most, so it's just a small subset of our users. But these are the folks I interact with the most. So you can see Ahmad is on the phone, but Beverly is available, Bill is at lunch, Jack is doing some training, John and Justin are available. So at a glance, I can see what my coworkers are doing in the address book or my immediate coworkers right from my buddies list. Now Justin, I didn't answer quick enough. Justin has returned my IM. Oh, a little windy today. All right. I want to show you. Sorry, I won't complain. Hopefully, not too much snow in Montana for everyone. You guys, I'll ask that later. One other thing I want to point out: Peggy. Notice that Peggy's on the phone. I am going to right-click. Notice all of the features that are available to me. So I can call her on her office phone. I can intercom her. But I'm going to choose this change alert. She's on the phone. I really want to talk to her. I can have the system tell me when she becomes available again. I'm going to click OK, and now, no matter where I'm at, I don't have to be in Mixie. I can be buried in a spreadsheet somewhere or on a website somewhere, and as soon as she becomes available, the system will do a little pop-up notification telling me that Peggy's available.
Yeah, that's one of my #1 features, because what typically happens is I have something to tell somebody. I see that their presence is they're busy, and then I totally forget to get back to them or forget the conversation. So that we use that a lot internally, and also just being able to see that presence has saved so much time of bugging people when you know they can't answer. And so yeah, presence, because we just moved over to this internally about a month ago, and that's been one of my biggest things, is just using the presence, and it's been great.
One more thing before I leave this section is I'm going to right-click on Len, and again, I showed you a little bit about all the options that are available. With Len, he's got more information in his, so I can call his office phone, I can call his mobile phone from here or his home phone, and I can intercom him. I can also send him an instant message from here. I can look at our text message history. I can send him an email or a voicemail or a fax, and again, the list kind of goes on and on. Notice that, and this is separate, I broke away from the premium user. So I'm going to show you a feature that's not included in premium, but it's just a good time to show you. So this is an additional lesson. It's not very expensive, and that is call recording. So we've been on this call for, or I've been on this call because we started half an hour early. I've been on this call for 1 hour and 11, almost 1 hour and 12 minutes. So when I click this record button, the system starts recording at the beginning of the conversation. So in other words, 1 hour and almost 12 minutes ago, and records the entire conversation and continues to record until we hang up. So we get a lot of positive feedback on our recording feature because of that ability. So just know that recording is available on the Zultys system. All right, so I'm going to go back to our presentation and put it back in presentation mode. And we were talking about premium user. So we just talked about the Mixie software and all of its features. We mentioned the fact that it integrates with Outlook and Exchange. MX Video, I think I mentioned earlier, we include an MX Video license with every premium user. We also include the mobile application. And we include conferencing. So if you're doing a regular audio conference call separate from a webinar, you get a conference license with every premium user. And as you can see, we've got a maximum of 60. But like I always say, if anyone needs more than 60, our engineers have promised me they can make that happen as well. The third of the 3 users, so we talked about standard, we just talked about premium. The third is contact center users. So contact center users cover everything that standard and premium have. So it includes all of those features that we just talked about. And then it has some additional features that typical call centers would want to take advantage of. So right now, and I know it's hard to see, I just want you to know that it's there. We call this Super View. And Super View typically runs on a supervisor's laptop, so he or she can see the contents of Super View there. But even better, it runs on a monitor that's hanging on a wall inside the call center. So at a glance, in real time, because of this Super View screen, staff and supervisors and anyone walking through the call center can see real-time information about how many calls are waiting in queue, or how many agents are logged in, how many agents are logged out, how many calls did we receive today, what's the average length of those calls. The cool thing is it's customizable. So whatever data is important to that particular call center can be configured to be displayed on this review screen. And as you can see, we've got flags. So a lot of our contact center user customers set up criteria for flags. So for example, a yellow flag is kind of a caution flag, and a red flag is a red flag, a big deal. So sometimes they have the ability to create yellow flags. That might be the number of agents logged in has just dropped below 10. So a caution flag goes up so everybody can see we've got this yellow flag. It's not an emergency yet, but just keep in mind it's getting a little dangerous. We've dropped below 10 agents logged in. Well, in that same scenario, if the number of logged in agents drops below 5, a red flag goes up. Big deal. It needs attention now. We need more than 5 agents logged in. So start paying attention and start doing something about it. So again, we get a lot of positive feedback from our customers about those yellow and red flags. Notice that Peggy's now available. I just asked the system to tell me when she is. So now I know she's available for me to call her. But even cooler than that, with one click of the button, I can place a call to her. Or one click of a button over here, I can send her an instant message. So again, the system tries to be as fast and efficient as possible. All right. The last piece on this contact center slide is customizable reporting. So in call centers, they typically want to run reports, similar to the SuperView, but they want to run reports on different pieces of data. And that comes with the contact center user, and it's all customizable. So on your report, you can add columns, you can delete columns, you can move things around, you can change the order, very customizable. And it supports drag and drop. So you literally can drag a field over from your available fields section onto your report, and that field will be populated in the report. So that's the last piece of contact center. And that's mobile. This is a picture actually of I've got an Android, and my kids kill me over it and not having an iPhone. But I do have an Android. This is the picture of it, and this is our MX Mobile application running on it. So it works great, very similar to the Mixie software that I showed you a few minutes ago. So notice my presence in this picture is available up at the top. I can click on my mobile app and change my presence. I can add that note, remove that note that you saw me put in. I can pull up my buddies list. I can pull up my whole address book. I can read my faxes. I can go to dial tone and simply make a call. I can look at all my contacts in the list. I can log in and out of groups. So we were talking about contact center a minute ago. Through my cell phone with my MX Mobile app, I can log in and out of groups. So very functional and very similar to the Mixie software that we just looked at. One more point about MX Mobile that I mentioned early on about our infrastructure and how, I talked about how robust it is and all of the redundant servers and the backup between the two cities and all of that stuff. I don't think I mentioned the fact that we guarantee uptime of 99.99%. So we don't just talk about it, we put it in writing in an SLA that you'll have that type of, uptime. We shoot for 5 nines, but we guarantee in writing 99.99% uptime. And I say that here because, I'm sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to, go ahead. I'll when you finish with that, I just want to make one point on the mobile, so go ahead and finish.
Sure. I was going to say, I say that here because the system's up, like I said, 99.99% of the time at least. But the problem is if you lose your internet, right? So your internet goes down, who knows why, contractor with the backhoe in the parking lot maybe. But your internet goes down, it doesn't do you a bit of good that the system's humming away beautifully up in our data center. So this MX Mobile app is included with every user so that if that happens, for whatever reason you lose your internet, all you have to do is log in to your mobile app if you're not logged in already, and now you're making and receiving calls like nothing ever happened as far as your internet is concerned. So it really is a safety net against your internet going down.
Yeah, so Kevin, my point I was going to make, and it's actually one of the simplest features, but maybe one of the most powerful for a lot of the customers that we talk to, is being able to have that mobile client When I'm traveling around or I'm not sitting at my desk, one concern I have is, especially in our field, we really don't want our technicians having to give out their mobile number where someone's calling them personally at 10 o'clock at night or whatever the case may be. Wherever they're at, they can call from that mobile app, from their mobile device, and their office number will come in. So we never have to worry about giving out two different numbers or our mobile number getting out there. It always can come in from that office number, which is a huge feature for a lot of us.
Sure. Yep, I think that's a big deal. Because you just flat out don't want to compromise your personal phone number. So yeah, I agree 100%. All right. So here's the good news. Other than the thank you slide, this is the last slide. As you can see, it's titled Additional Capabilities, and there's just a few that we'd like to point out. We fully support Active Directory and LDAP authentication. Call recording we talked about. I mentioned and kind of showed you the on-demand where we can just click on that button. But we also have auto recording. So you can record all of every extension or all of a group of extension or all of one extension, all the calls coming in or going out. So you have lots of options as far as call recording goes. Call detail reporting. I mentioned the fact that customizable reporting is included with the contact center, but we actually have 3 levels of call detail reporting that is available to you. We fully integrate with Salesforce Communicator, and if you're not familiar with Salesforce, it is a customer relationship management software package, and we're fully integrated with it. But there's lots of folks that don't use Salesforce, but they do have kind of standard other customer relationship management software programs, and we interface with those with what we call Flex Communicator. So our Flex Communicator is a middleware piece of software that we use to communicate to a lot of those CRMs that are out there. And I mentioned NPR earlier, and that's exactly what NPR uses. Archiving. A lot of our customers prefer to archive data locally, and we certainly can allow them to do that and set that up for them. I mentioned outbound dialer earlier. So that's the kind of thing my dentist uses, for example. So I get a call, automated call from my dentist saying, hello, Mr. Murphy, your appointment is next Thursday at 10 o'clock. Please press 1 to confirm or 2 to change your appointment. And then, I either confirm or I press 2 and get transferred to the receptionist who can change my appointment. So outbound dialing, that's just one example of outbound dialing. It seems like I hear a new reason for our customers to use outbound dialer every week, but that's just one example, and I know you get the idea. IVR, integrated voice response, is available with our system. So for those more complicated transactions with the phone system and a caller calling into the phone system, we fully support IVR, or integrated voice response. And the last thing that I like to talk about on this additional capabilities is our MX Meeting software. So MX Meeting is very similar to the webinar software that we're using today, and it's available directly through, available and integrated with the Zultys system. So that is the presentation. Brandon, any questions or anything we should follow up on?
Well, I'll see if any other questions pop in here. But one of the #1 questions we get asked is, okay, if we're relying on the internet for our phone service, what happens when our internet goes out, as we've all faced? Can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, the quick answer for us is because all the profiles come with that mobile client, you basically have a built-in redundancy or redundancy built in because you have the mobile client. So let's say your internet goes out at your location. You can flip over to that mobile client on your mobile devices and be making a call literally in seconds. So there is no real downtime of the system. It's just you, instead of making your call from your Mixi client or your actual physical phone, I'm going to move to my mobile client. So you actually have more redundancy built in with this in the case of that. But it is a huge question that comes up, and it's a valid question, but it's something you don't have to be alarmed with. And the other thing that comes up is bandwidth utilization. Yes, you need quality internet, which, we have a lot of customers on this that just don't have any problems with it, but we don't need a lot of bandwidth. This isn't a bandwidth intensive thing. And I'm sure, Kevin, you probably have some stats of how much data we're pushing, but it's going to be a sliver of your overall bandwidth that you have inside your organization. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Kevin, but that's a big question that always comes up.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. So I agree with everything that you said. Typical phone call is 100K. So not much. It just doesn't take much, but you want to be very careful with bandwidth, of course. So we have actually on our website a speed test that will not only test your bandwidth, but it actually emulates a phone call. So it does a great job of kind of grading your internet connection and your bandwidth to let you know if it's adequate or if it needs to be increased. So yeah, we call it a speed test, and it's actually available right on our website.
Great, thanks, Kevin.
Sure.
Well, it's 10:10 here, so certainly I can give you back 8 minutes of your day here if there's not any additional questions. A follow-up for us, you can reach us at sales@pinecc.com. I know many of you were personally invited by someone. You can definitely reach out to that person. But if you want additional information, want a demo, or just want to talk more in depth about this service or any of our other services, you can email sales@pinecc.com. And we'll get back to you and get the ball rolling. So again, I thank everyone for coming. We'll definitely be sending invites out for our next month topic, which I believe is going to be wireless. So please reach out, and again, thank you for joining. See ya.
Thanks, everyone.